What is up, everybody? Alex from WMD back at you again. This time, we're going to be talking about recording. So, in particular, multi-track recording with the Performance Mixer and the DB25. This is a video I've wanted to do since the DB25 came out over a year ago, but it's just one of those things that it's a pretty involved video, so it's just taken a little while. But now that the DB25 is back in stock, I thought it would be a good time to do this. Also, I have been making tons of music myself, and I've just been working on like a live performance kind of setup. I've been doing lots of composing and just making songs and kind of working out structures all inside of the box. And this is a good time to start moving into the tracking side of things. I've got a lot of stuff. It's time for me to start tracking some stuff and maybe work on some music in the computer that I might release sometime. So I thought this would be cool to just kind of show you guys through my process and just give you a little insight on how I use the DB25 in my system. And yeah, that's basically what we're going to do. So what is the DB25 Expander? So it's an expander for the Performance Mixer. It connects to the back of the mixer via headers, like via ribbon cables, just like your power cables. And then that gives you pre-fader outputs for all the channels. So pre-fader output, that means that the fader information, your fader movements are actually not going to be captured in the recording. The stereo output, your mix out, that'll get all of your fader movements, but all your individual tracks are going to be just what goes in comes out. It's not going to have all the fader movements. So why would you want it to be pre-fader versus post-fader? I understand a lot of people like to use post-fader because then they can capture all of their movements and things like that. But if you make a mistake, it's going to be really hard to fix it, number one. Two, if you want to do like remixing and just kind of like capture a bunch of stuff and then just manipulate it later, capturing all those fader movements is going to change a lot. We've gotten some questions also why it's not post-pan. One thing about this is that it's 16 outputs when you have the regular mixer plus the channels expander, which I have here. And if you wanted to add panning to all of those channels, you would literally add 6 more channels, which would mean that you need another DB25 and make this way bigger and just kind of make it even more clunky than it already is to have snakes coming out of your system. So what we have is the 16 outputs. Those are the master left and right, and then you have 1 through 6 mono outs for those, so that's 8 channels right there. And then you have 7 and 8, those are 2 stereo channels, so that's 4 outputs. And then 9 and 10, that's another 4 outputs because those are both stereo outs. So now we're looking at, that's a total of 16. So it's really nice to just like be able to track all your ideas and then work on stuff in post. When it comes down to the auxes, the mono auxiliary sends and the master sends, those are not captured as well. If you want to capture those, I recommend either just using a channel, which is what I'm doing to capture my delay. I think that I really like the way the magneto sounds in my patch, so I'm running it stereo into one of my stereo channels here. And then my reverb send, I'm just going to recreate that in post because that's not super important to me, and I want actually to be able to make that sound perfect. And if you do want to capture everything, another option is if you have enough inputs on your interface is just to go directly in. So let's talk about interfaces really quick. Right now, what I have going on is I have my 2 DB25s going out. Those are going into a patch bay, and then out of the patch bay into a PreSonus Quantum 4848 audio interface. This is an interface that has no preamps, it's just line inputs. I found that it works well enough for me that I don't actually need preamps for all these channels. It records a little bit quiet, but I've been able to get away with it with no problems. It's a super clean interface. There's no noise. So when I bring things up with normalization and just clip volumes, I haven't had any issues bringing things up to level. Some interfaces you might need preamps in order to bring the levels up, but honestly, I haven't really found that to be the case. And then I know I'm recording as clean as possible. What's really nice about this 4848 is that it actually has like, I think it's 32 inputs that are analog inputs. You can actually go up to 48 with the digital inputs, but it has 32 analog inputs. So I actually have a Q16 mixer as well, and I've got 8 channels out of that going into this individually, which is where all of my analog synths are coming in. So I've got like every synth that I own basically is plugged in on an individual channel. When I'm ready to record, I can record a full performance and then get all of my tracks, and then I can go through and edit those later. So for sequencing, I'm using my Metron and my Volterra, but those are being clocked by an Expert Sleeper's ES8 and Ableton running on a Microsoft Surface. I've gone through lots of hardware sequencers, master clock ideas, and things like that, and I've found that for me, Ableton running on the Surface has been a really cool addition. Not only can I use it as a MIDI sequencer for all my other gear, I can clock my modular, and then the best part is I have yet another computer. I have an iMac over here, and that is my recording computer. So the iMac is essentially my tape machine. It's the one that's connected to the PreSonus. So I have my Microsoft Surface over here running Ableton Link. So these two are tempo synced together. So I can press record and set the tempo with my recording computer. And then I can just go over here on the Surface and press play. And as I record in, I'm synced up to the clock in Ableton, which is super nice for remixing and editing and things like that. Highly recommend figuring out a way to sync to your recording software. Whether that's the way that I've got it, whether it's just using your recording computer as the master clock, or USB MIDI or a MIDI to CV interface, anything, I recommend being able to sync to your recording computer. That way you don't have to figure out how to sync later, and if you want to make on the beat edits, it's just much easier. All right, so that's pretty much it. First things first, what I'm going to do is just start my machine going here. I'm going to start my system up, and then I'm going to go through and make sure that all of my tracks in Ableton are receiving my tracks from the modular. So I'm going to go over here and just press play. And this is kind of my intro guy here. So what I'm going to do is just add the clap, add my Chimera here, and not hearing the Chimera, maybe that's muted. Oh, just make that go like that. There we go, there's my Chimera. Got my hi-hat. Not using the Crucible today, so that's good. Maybe some bass notes. I don't know what key this is in anymore. There we go, D. So I'm hearing everything. That's my mix. So if we go over here to the computer, the recording computer, we'll now see that I've got this soloed. So we're listening to the master mix right now. If I unsolo it, we'll hear the tracks. So we can go through and yeah, we've got everything, sounds the exact same. So I do have a lead in here that's not playing, so I'm gonna go make sure that I've got that real quick. There we go, there's my lead. That's working. So now, while I've got it here, I'm just gonna go label everything. So in my template, this is what my template looks like. I basically have the kick, clap, Chimera, and hi-hats always labeled because that's pretty much how I always patch that system up. Now I'm gonna go through here. This is the bass. I think this one's empty. We'll leave it just in case I'm missing something. This is the chords. I think number 8 is empty as well, but we'll just leave it just in case. Here's my lead. Ooh, yeah, and then this is my reverb return, or my delay return. So this is my channel 10 on the Performance Mixer that I'm using as a stereo return for the Magneto. And then this last one, this is just my vocals. I'm recording my vocals in, I'm gonna be talking while I do this, so it might be kind of cool. We'll see if I have, I might be able to use that track as notes. Kind of a cool idea I came up with yesterday is just to wear my headset while I'm recording, and then when I am ready, then when I'm recording, I can kind of talk to myself and give myself notes. So we'll see if that works. I have no idea. All right, so we're all set up now. The next thing I'm going to do is just solo the master again. So remember, because we have the pre-fader outputs, if we listen to the individual tracks, we're not going to hear any fader movement. I don't know how much mixing I'm really going to be doing on the fly, but it's best to monitor the master output of the Performance Mixer while you're doing this, just so you're monitoring the performance. All right, so I think we're ready to go. I'm just going to go over here, press record, and now we're recording. And I can go and just press play on my launchpad here, and then it will start my Microsoft Surface computer in time with the iPad, and then or the iMac, and then we'll be ready to go here. Oh, I don't think I have link enabled. I definitely do not. So I'm going to go back over here. Make sure that link's good. Okay, there we go. So now link's enabled. We're recording again on that side. Need to stop everything. Oh man. Sometimes, you know, you just go a little crazy. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to press play on the launchpad and we'll start recording. Actually, the first thing I want to do is go to my intro and reload that whole thing because I messed up all the stuff just testing, right? Okay, so here we go. Pressing play. After everything's gone. Okay, there we go. Ooh, that was kind of cool. Just kind of pushed out a little bit of that into that sample in the beginning. I'm alright with that. Alright, so now I'm going to add a little bit of delay to this chord sample. That's nice. Now here we go into the lead. I'm going to add a little bit more delay onto the hi-hats. I'm going to take the kick drum out here. Bring it back in. So if I want to take that kick drum out in the recording, I'm going to have to remember to take that out. But if I don't, I can just leave it in. And this is like a real mellow track. I'm just trying to keep it nice and chill. So I'm not really doing too much with my hands. So here we go. Here's the next part. Turn down that delay here. So one thing about this is like, I have to remind myself, like I don't have to be touching stuff all the time. You know, constant modulation is great, but at the same time, sometimes it's just nice to let it ride. All right, I'm gonna go back to that other part and bring that lead in again. So one note to self, I might want to take that bass line from that last part, put it in this part. So I think that would sound nice. Right? Just kind of have that lead going. That'd be cool. adding some little bit more delay. Going to the next part. Alright, so this part, I'm going to take the kick drum out and add some more delay to those chords. Alright, and so one thing I like to do with these projects is I put them down, so this is the next part of my song. So all I have to do is load this project, and then we're in the next part. 2, 3, here we go. Forgot the kick drum. But my fader movements don't matter, right? Because I've got everything tracked in there. You know, with a kick drum, I can always sample stuff. Next part. I can always just like use these samples and kind of loop them and stuff. I can fix, you know, I can do whatever I want. But having this master out recorded is a nice reference of what I did in the mix. All right, next part. Here we go. This part needs a little bit of squelch, right? Maybe a little bit of delay on that bass. Alright, now this next part's just a little break to go to the next section. 2, here we go. Probably should have moved that bass line. I might have to re-record that part or just copy and paste. Yeah, I'll probably copy and paste this part right here with the part before. Alright, so the next section of the song, here we go. Oh man, I love this. It's super nice and mellow. Ooh yeah, a little bit of clap action in that reverb. Or in the delay, excuse me. And there we have it. Now the next part just has no bass, I think. Yeah, and I'm just recording this whole thing just nice and far out. And this might be a little bit long of a structure. Magneto. Alright, there we go. So yeah, this might have been, you know, a little bit long of a structure, but the beautiful thing is that I've got it tracked now in my recording computer to the beat, you know, on the beat, so to a click. So it's going to be super easy to move things around. I honestly really like this long form structure. It felt really nice. I've done it, you know, without recording a few times, and it always ends up kind of being nice and long, and I really appreciate that. And then I can go through and you know, edit it from here. So we're going to move over to the recording computer. I'm going to show you how I edit it, chop it up, and then we'll listen to the whole track, and that'll be it. So see you in a second. All right, so we're back. Now we're going to dive into editing this track. So if we go through here, we listen. First thing we can do is just find the beginning of the track, right? That's right here. We can turn link off because we don't need that anymore. That is beautiful. Man, I just love that it's like synced up. I don't know about you, but I worked on music for so long doing hardware stuff, and before I was syncing stuff, you know, it's just like not super fun. So here we go. Start right on beat 1. There we go. I'm gonna bring my notes up, and let's throw a little bit of that into that sample in the beginning. cool. So I've got my notes. I can unsolo those. We don't need those right now. Okay, so real quick, I'm just gonna go through, okay, this one, I thought it was empty. I was right, it's empty. Channel 8, that was empty too. We're just gonna get that out of here. And we're good there. So I'm just gonna save this real quick. DB25, Vidya 2. I already shot this once. And realized that my audio recorder wasn't working. Or that I didn't press record. One of the two. So we're trying it again. And, you know, saving can take a second. So, hope that sounded cool sped up. All right, here we go. So now I've got my tracks here. And yeah, like I said, you know, you can see everything's just a tad quiet, but it's not crazy. I mean, it's halfway up the meter. I don't really feel the need to go crazy with too much stuff. Yeah, there's that delay return. That's in the modular master. So again, we're listening to the modular master. If we unsolo, now here is the tracks that we have. Now here we go into the lead. And my vocal notes are in there too. So lastly, the first thing. So another thing I like to do real quick is just go through, select everything, and then hit Command J. What that does is it consolidates everything, but it, more importantly, it basically normalizes your tracks, but it doesn't bring everything up automatically. What it does is it finds the top level for every track, and then it sets a fader right there. So then you can bring that all the way up to 0, so the loudest thing's at 0. But it's actually a really handy way of normalizing in Ableton. This way we can turn everything up just a little bit, but we don't need to go crazy. If we bring everything up to 0, then we're going to be clipping the master bus before we even put any effects or anything on any of the tracks. And we're probably, you know, I might add some more tracks to this. I might like put in a vocal sample or help those chords out. Those chords, you know, are really low passed. So so I might like add a secondary chord sample to that. So what I'm going to do here after this is done consolidating is I'm just going to turn everything up just a little bit and try and make it so my master's kind of at a comfortable level. So we're hearing my vocals right now, we're hearing all that, so I'm just going to select everything and take the recording off. So we don't need to be recording anything anymore into this Ableton session. And while it's building its waveforms, we can just go take a look at the kick, right? Now you can see what I mean. It took this fader and it said I was at negative 20. That's kind of crazy. So if I bring it up to like -8, I think this is where a lot of people say your kick drum should be. Then we can go listen to the noise over here, or the silence. And there's nothing, right? Like, there's no noise, even from -20 all the way up to -8. Boosting that, I've had no noise issues. Again, this might be different for every other interface. If your interface has preamps, try and hit -8 on your kick drum and kind of mix everything around that. That seems to be kind of the base point for doing things like this. Okay, so now all my waveforms, they're almost all wave drawn, so I'm just going to go through here and we will open up the master a little bit here so I can see it on over here. And now you can see with this fader, I have all faders selected. So if we just go to like the loudest part of the track and listen to it. Oh, let's take the solo off. It's probably the loudest part in the whole track. Move that bass line. I might have to let's mute my vocals again, and we'll bring this fader up. We'll also look at the kick while we're doing it. I'm going to turn it down over here on my monitoring as I turn this up. Oh wow, I just went and clipped the master like right away. That was the first thing I did. So there we go. That seems more like a workable level to me. Looks like we're peaking a little bit, you know, we're peaking under unity. Like I said, workable level, not going too crazy. So if I go select the kick, what, right there, negative 8.9. So that's a perfect place to be. Again, save, can't ever save too much. One trick I learned with recording a long time ago is super important. Once you kind of set your levels and you get everything at a good workable level like I've got here, if you want to turn things, if you want to turn it up, turn up your monitoring. Remember that. Remember to turn your monitoring up. Remember to turn your monitoring down. Don't try and do everything in the mix. That's total beginner's mistake. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I should just turn the master volume up on the thing, and then I'll remember to turn it down. No, you won't. Unless you're way better at memory than me, which is actually probably the case. Okay, here we go. So that's our stuff. That sounds pretty good, man. We're listening to the tracks. I'm pretty stoked about that. You know, that delay sounds okay. It might be a tad distracting, especially there. But I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. I'm fine with that. Okay. So now, got that part. Let's go, real quick, let's go find all the place I took the kick drum out. So we're just gonna listen to the modular master. There's one. Cool. So if we listen to the tracks now, sounds the exact same. Might actually sound better, because I didn't do that with my hands. Okay, let's listen to modular master again. I don't know if I did take the kick drum out manually. Oh, there it is. It's kind of cool. There we go. Let's just make sure I delete the kick drum out here. Right? And that's where I messed it up, right? So here we go, like, totally forgot to bring the kick drum back in there, but luckily in my tracking, I have that kick, so no worries, you know? No worse for the wear. Everything sounds great. All right, so now I'm going to do a little bit of pre-mixing. I'm not going to mix this in front of you because that's obviously going to take a long time. But as you can see, like, we could edit this a ton if we needed to. I was pretty happy with everything that I did in there, so I'm just going to leave most of it for now. I'm going to delete out some silence. Not only does this just like eliminate chances for noise, we already demonstrated that this is a super quiet interface and there's no noise to be worried about. But one of the things I like to do this for is just to kind of give myself a little bit more. Oh, and this is the end where I just kept it recording anyways and didn't need to. This just gives me a little bit more insight into like what I did if I just kind of consolidate things and can see the structure a little bit better. Okay, so now we can zoom in just a tiny bit more, zoom in just a tiny bit more. And yeah, let's do some effects here. So basically, I'm just going to put a compressor and an EQ on pretty much every channel, and not this channel EQ that I always accidentally grab. Oh, just did it again. We're going to use EQ 8. And first, we'll go through here, we'll compress it a little bit. Right, just a little bit fatter. Might be a little loud there now. Down a little bit. All right, so we've got this big resonant spike here right at 100. I'm gonna leave that in there, but why I mention it is first I'm just gonna go through here. I'm gonna low pass at like 30, just because I don't really need all that like rumbling at the very low end of the spectrum. Now I'm gonna go to the bass line, which starts here. Do the same thing, compressor, EQ. Barely compressing it, just giving it a little bit more. Now we're gonna see here, let's find that 100%, 100 hertz spike. We're just gonna take that down just a tiny bit. That just lets our kick drum go through a little bit more. With here, I'm gonna high pass this as well. Probably take this one down a little bit lower, but I can't hear this in my headphones. It's just something to kind of clean up the subs so it's not just like flopping around. If it's, just using energy that you're not going to hear, I think that's that's important to do. Subs, you don't want to waste their energy on stuff you're not going to hear unless you're just trying to move air, which for this track, this is a like sleepy disco track. It's not like anything to try and move air with. Okay, let's go to the claps. Alright, claps could definitely come up. I'm just going to use compression to do that. Alright, cool. Oh, whoops, not echo. Let's do that EQ again, dude. Yeah, that bass, I might have to work out some of that delay stuff that I did with the bass. Okay, sounds good. Chimera. That sounded pretty good. Hi-hats. I don't really need to compress these, but there is a close and a semi-open hat in there. What I am going to do is I'm going to shelf everything like right here at like 100-ish. I'm just going to take that 1K out too. That's nice. Just make those sit up high, Okay, we already did the bass, but I did get a little squelchy up there, and I think rather than retrack it, I could just take a little bit of this high end out. It's more like, yeah, it's like it's really in the highs that I don't like. I'm gonna take that 1K out and I'm gonna go up here. All right, cool. Sounds pretty good. Chords. Let's beef these guys up. We're gonna take this, we're gonna compress it. Let's EQ that EQ8. Let's turn up some high end here. We're not really gonna get it. So what we're gonna try and do with this one is just make it live right in the mids here. Shelf out those lows. I mean, we could just screw it, high pass it, right? That sounds pretty fine to me. Now we'll go to that lead. And I know I said I wasn't gonna mix this, and it seems like that's all I'm doing. But this isn't a final mix. This is just trying to get things to sound a little bit more clear. And my main goal with this is to be stoked when I come back and listen to this tomorrow, or whenever I come back to work on it. One thing I've been learning a lot from my peers is that you should be a really helpful technique in music production is to split up your sessions. Don't try and finish the song the day that you track it or the day that you write it. I've been spending weeks just making sequences. I have a lot of sequences made, and I'm just kind of messing with structures and playing around. And I like to get structure down to like a 80% or whatever in the hardware. So whatever I'm using in the hardware. Sorry, there's a fly. So whatever I'm using for hardware, I like to try and get my structure relatively close, and then track everything, get that structure out. That way, if I have to fix anything, I probably don't have to fix too much. But I have the option. And then track everything, and then right after I track everything, I try and make these edits, because these edits can be a little daunting, but they're really not that hard, especially if you work out your structure on the instrument. So it's the same thing as when you go into like as a band, right? A band goes into the studio with the structure worked out. They might change a few things in post, but the structure is pretty much worked out. And if they're working with an engineer, that person's going to be recording pre-fader as well, because they don't want any of their faders movements, their fader movements, to affect what the band did and screw anything up, right? The last thing you want is for the band to be playing and then to figure out that the person was just moving the fader up and down on the bass to like move more room for vocals, and now you have to fix all that with how are you even going to fix that? So it's a good thing to go pre-fader. That's my another tangent on pre-fader. But anyways, we've got all this going, and I worked on structure in the box. Now I I'm just doing a quick little premix and a quick edit, so that way when I come back to this, hopefully I'll like it enough to want to keep working on it, right? That's like the goal, is that when I come back and I've got this, I want this track to inspire me. So, and I think, every time I hear this intro, I'm pretty like, just like zenned out. So I think that I'm doing an okay job. Let's hear this delay come in. Sounds great, but we could just EQ it a tiny bit. If I take that out, maybe that other stuff will just pop through a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. Go through here. Just gonna shelf out these highs a tiny bit. And in my performance, like if I was performing this live, honestly, I'd probably be filtering this lead out like a ton. So I'm gonna use an auto filter in Ableton, and I'm just gonna add an LFO. That's nice. Maybe take a tiny bit of those low mids out a little bit more, just so it doesn't hum. Maybe take some of the resonance down. There we go. Alright, listen to some notes here just to make sure. About this is like, I have to remind myself, like, I don't have to be touching stuff all the time. What did I just say? I have to remind myself I don't have to be touching stuff all the time, meaning I don't have to move things all the time. I just put in the movement on the filter for the lead part, and that's to kind of mimic what I would have been doing with my hands had I been just like trying to do more. About this is like, I have to remind myself, note to self, I might want to take that bass line from that last part, put it in this part. Note to self, want to take that bass line from that last part and put it in this part. Man, those notes. I was wondering if I would use them. Ooh, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Keep that bass line rolling, just kind of like makes it a little bit more exciting, For a track that's not really meant to be super exciting, I think that it's pretty great. Sorry, I keep shaking the camera. It's attached to this table and I keep hitting it. Alright, this part, I might like make a big reverb swell on the master or something just to kind of like build it up. Actually, yeah, awesome. Let's hear what I had to say here. My song. All right, and so one thing I like to do with these projects is I put them down. So this is the next part of my song. So all I have to do is load this project, and then we're in the next part. Yeah, so that's just a note to y'all about. Yep, there's where I forgot the kick. Okay, I think my notes are good. Don't think I need those anymore. And I'm running out of time on my camera here. So the last thing I wanted to do is just add some more, like add a riser, because I think that that'll be nice, cool sound. So I'm just going to go into my sample packs. Got tons and tons of samples over here. That's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in my splice samples. Where are we? There we are. So now I'm just going to literally type in the word riser and see if I can't find a cool effect riser. Maybe this one? Don't think so. Mr. Claude Von Stroke, what do you got for me, dude? Alright, I think we could use that. It's probably not, it might not stay, but alright, I want it to happen right where that kick drum comes out. So that's right there. We're going to go through here. We're just going to filter this out a ton. High pass. And then we will, let's just throw a delay on it itself, not put it in the bus right now. That way it has its own thing. Listen to it. I don't know what this big thing is right here. Too much, man. Too much. So I'm just going to go through here and I'm just going to transpose this guy down and hope if I do it with a repitch, can I do it like that? No. I just want to stretch this thing out. There we go. Take the warp off. I think that might work. Cool. So I also might record my own with my analog synths and noise, do my own noise sweeps and things like that. But you know, like I said, I'm just trying to get myself excited for the next time I hear this. So I think when this comes in, I'll be like, oh yeah, I gotta add more stuff. That LFO on that lead's a nice touch. It's got some rhythmic information in there, but I don't think it's too bad. All right. And that lead comes in a little bit low at that part, you know, whatever. That will also inspire me because I'll be like, you know, dude, that just needs to hit harder. And then I'll figure out a way to just manually move that filter up at that time. Okay, so I think that that's pretty good. I think one more thing that I might do here is the last thing. Let's just listen to it all the way through. And while we do it, I'm just going to record some notes to myself. And yeah, so this is the end of the track. End of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe. And I hope this gives you some insight on how to do multi-tracking with the Performance Mixer and the DB25. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace. All right, so we're just going to turn that on. And we're recording. Still really like that delay. I think that sounds really nice. Kind of that volume's pretty good. Might have to figure out how to EQ the mids out just a tiny bit. Yeah, definitely going to want to high pass the lead to sit above those chords. A little bit more. I'm just going to do it. Let's just move the filter up a little bit. We just want them to pop more. We still want movement though. That sounds better. bass sounds really nice. Let's go check out the master while we're listening to this. So as you can see, like just with a little bit of compression and EQ, I'm already like, I mean, I'm hitting unity at some points. So I might have to adjust my thinking here a little bit, go through and turn some clips down, turn my monitoring up. Yeah, keeping that bass going was a good idea. So right here, I probably want to take the kick drum out, right? I just did. Oh wait, no, actually I don't. I'm gonna put it back to my vocal notes to not do that. Because the kick drum comes out here. Maybe take the hi-hats out. But I think right here we need to add like some more delay and things, just kind of make it a little bit more heavy. Because here's the drop. And definitely put a big reverb clap on 4 at the end of that break. That'll sound nice. So I cut the tails off of those, so I'm just gonna bring them back. There's that kind of ruined that transition there. That's one thing to remember is tails are good. My claps, it's nice. Turn those down a little bit. So you can see I am like clipping just a tiny bit, just in the red dancing, so I'm gonna want to take care of that. You know, I thought that the delay going through the whole thing, I'm really glad that I captured that. I thought it might be a little distracting, and it's always something you can redo. But that just sounds awesome with those claps. Stereo delay, just really filling out that space. I haven't done any panning yet. Pretty into it. Delay. A little loud here. I might just like clip that out, turn that clip down a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm really happy with this. Ooh, yeah, there's a little bit of pink at the end there. Probably need to figure out how to cut that out. But I'm going to save this. I am happy. So I just stop to save. There we go. Yeah, I'm super happy with that. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.